Hello, lovely loves. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to go ahead and discuss spiritual awakening. I always hear the term like, are you woke? Let's stay woke. Or the term, enlightened ones. So, honestly, normally I really try to stay away from labels as much as possible. I feel like they limit us so much when we put labels on us, like, I am black, I am a mother, I am a wife, I am a sister, I'm a woman. And it's just like, I am blah, 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 blah. I can say a lot of things that apparently I am, right? So, they kind of feel like they're anchors on my ankles, anchoring me down to this reality, all these labels, all these things. And even though I'm choosing to participate in them, because, I am choosing to be a mother and to be a wife and all these things, they don't really define the I am that is really within me and within all of us. And that's really what's important, because that's what we really are. Okay, so now that I'm done with that rant for why I dislike labels, I'll go into spirituality. So first of all, we are light. We are all in light at our core. So we're all enlightened at our core of who we are. And we're all of Christ's mind, or Christed ones, because the Christ mind is what connects all of us to one. So we all have that in us. So the term conscious or enlightened points to the awareness of what we already are. So it points to the remembrance of what's already there, or the awareness of that's already there. So we're all journeying back to that remembrance. We're all on that journey back. And that journey back is called our life. So most of us have steps to remember it back, and those steps are that journey back. And that journey back is everything that's happening in your life. So, that path is kind of like a cycle, and it cycles infinitely. So we're being brought repeatedly to remember us because it's infinitely cycling. So it's infinitely bringing us back over and over to remember, to remember, to remember. And if we choose not to, it just cycles back again. So you can see the term enlightened is actually kind of meaningless in many ways, because we're all technically enlightened. I can't really judge anyone's step back to enlightenment or to remembrance, because I can't really judge their journey. Every journey is unique. So me trying to figure out where you are in your journey is completely meaningless, because the point of reference I have is from my own journey. So there's really no way to correlate the two together, and there's no way for me to really judge yours when I'm within my own. And even if I go outside of it, there's no judgment there. So there's no need to judge then. So in a way, we're all sleeping. So this is why we're able to converse with one another. I really don't like it when people say, everyone around them is so stupid and asleep. I'm surrounded by stupidity or something. That is just you saying that there's a part of you that is so stupid that you think, let me rephrase that. There's a part of you that you think is so stupid that now you have to project that out to everyone around you and see them that way. Because that's all everyone around you is. It's a reflection of you. How you see them is a reflection of you. So if you see everyone as stupid around you, you think you're so stupid deep down, and you can't accept that stupidity that you feel for yourself, so you put it out there on everyone else. So I cringe when people say stuff like that, because it's basically just showing me that there's something buried deep within them, and there's some deep denial within them. And We all have it to some point. We've all done it. I know I've done it. I know everyone has done it before where they've felt that way. But just know what it means when you feel that way. Just acknowledge, yes, it means that there's something there in me that I don't want to acknowledge. Because that's the first step to just getting past it. It's just saying, you know what? I admit it, you know? So anyhow, and the reason that you know it is this way is because we can converse with each other. So that means we're on the same level, period. If you can talk to the person, you're on their level. If they can see you and talk to you, you're on the same vibration. So if everyone around you is stupid, guess what, honey? You're on that vibration too. So you better get past it and acknowledge it so that you can start to see things in another way, because it doesn't feel good to see everyone as dumb. Trust me. I've been there. It doesn't feel good. Okay. So just be aware that when you do that, you're casting yourself as special, which is really just another way of separating yourself and another way of creating more ego and more separation and more pain in your life. So anyway, enlightenment, the term is actually kind of special. So we all want to be enlightened ones. Ding. The fact is, we actually are all enlightened ones, and we're actually not enlightened ones. This is because we are on a sun ship. So we are on a ship all together. So we each have the ability to see with the eyes of love, which is actually the filter that creation holds for each and every one of us. It's just the eyes and the filter of love. That's it. And we do have that. We do have moments of enlightenment because we've all experienced where we're seeing someone in the light of love. Maybe it's the moment you look on your newborn baby. When you're seeing in that filter, you're seeing from an enlightened perspective. The problem is that many of us only see this way under certain circumstances and in certain situations with particular people. Like, you know, the particular baby that happens to be your baby that you see it that way. You don't see it necessarily when you're looking at some other baby. So this is basically saying, you know, truth is not particular. It applies to everyone all the time. So when you're to the point where it's everyone all the time, then you're getting closer to the step back home to remembering oneness and truth that is consistent always. It doesn't vary based on the situation or circumstance. So there will be a point where being here or there is of no significance. So your awareness will flow from this realm to truth, and it doesn't even matter where you are because you're really in the arms and the flow of creation itself. And this is kind of the opening that enlightenment brings. So I can't really verbally speak on it because there's really nothing really that you can say other than the one that wants for nothing has been entrusted with everything. And this brings me to spiritual awakening. We all have experiences of spiritual awakening. So spirit actually, or our higher selves, our holy selves, the Holy Spirit that is the connection from us to God. Some people like to call it Mother Earth or the Mother Feminine Energy. I don't really particularly like it being used in this way personally, but it is that same energy. It's always working to wake us up to something. So we've all experienced it at some point. The problem is that most of us choose to forget it, or we choose to credit the awakening with something else. So we downplay it, or we try to just say it's something else. And that's because we can't make logical sense of it. The truth is that we are not actually of this world. So it stands to mean that every awakening that we'd have would show that we are not of this world. So that's something that you can't really explain because it's not of this world, and we're so used to having explanations of things in this world. So when it does happen, we're stuck having to make something up to downplay its significance. So waking up to me means waking up to truth. And this can come to us in many ways. one example that I have that I could give you is the birth of my son. And it was a major one to me because it was one that kind of showed, it pointed to me that we are not actually of our bodies, that we are more than just our bodies, and that our bodies aren't really what we are. So, let's see, when I was pregnant with him, part of me was in a state of resistance to having a son. So, I mean, there was that. And then because of that, and, for whatever reason, I had this issue with my liver where I was itchy all over. I was in the state of resistance and I was just itchy all over. So I ended up having to get on medication for my liver. And because of the medication and because of the cholestasis diagnosis from the doctors, I was told that I had to be induced. And I was in resistance to that because I don't want to be induced. I wanted to naturally have my child the way I naturally had my first child. So, long story short, I put it off. It was this huge thing. We aren't responsible for something happening to your son. This disorder could cause stillbirth, blah, 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 fear, fear, fear. And then I ended up being induced. And he ended up not wanting to come out because he was in resistance, because I was in resistance. What do you think? What do you know? Or maybe he just wanted to be in resistance too because he wasn't ready to come out because obviously it was early. Anyways, the point is I ended up on... I tried my best to give in, and I surrendered, and I surrendered, and I surrendered over and over and over again. I surrendered my life. I surrendered everything. And I was lying down, and he had kept turning around inside of me because he didn't want to come out. And I was fully dilated. I was, probably about 9 centimeters, which 10 centimeters is when you actually are just big enough to just for the baby to come out. Well, I was already at 9, but my son had turned around so that his head was up and his feet were down, so he was considered breech. Anyway, since he was breech and he wouldn't turn back around, and they would try to manually turn him, and he kept, which was actually very painful for me, even though at this point I had surrendered everything and I had taken the drugs and everything. I still felt it because it's the pressure that they put on you, which was pressure on him. So he was turned around. He was not trying to come out. And there was a point where they were like, I feel like the best thing to do is to have a C-section. And so I surrendered. And I realized that the moment I surrendered my life entirely on any outcome, that I was no longer in my body. And I looked at myself from on the other side of the room, and I was peaceful, and everything was perfect. And I just sat there for a couple of minutes, maybe it was even a couple of seconds, but I realized that everything would be fine because it wasn't even really me on the table, on the about to be on the operating table. And after the whole ordeal, I could chalk up me being out of my body for that moment of surrender to me being on some drugs or exhausted from being in labor or, just any psychological thing. I could have blamed it on anything and downplayed its significance in my life. But I know that it was more than that. And we all have moments of like that in our lives, or we have moments where Spirit is really connecting to us to tell us something. Maybe we veer left and we have a little voice to tell us to do that, and it just happens to be moments before we may hit a deer that's on the highway. Or maybe we have an out-of-body experience at a moment of impact during an accident, or while we're doing some physical feat that you logically can't really even explain. And you will say, it's just adrenaline or whatever, but maybe it's something else. We can easily chump all of this up to chance or flukes, but are they really? And they're actually happening to us so that we can question all that we think we know, so that we can remember what's written in our hearts. And it's not told to us by the order of the workings of this world that we live in, or that we've chosen to partake in, because it's completely out of this world and it's who we really are. So, from my heart to yours, thank you.